Hi, my name is Noelani Pearl Hunt, and I'm the interim CEO of Hand in Hand Parenting. Today, we're going to talk about aggression in girls, and I am so lucky to be joined by Stephanie Parker, who is one of our certified instructors. She became a mom to a beautiful baby girl in 2009, and they lived together with her daughter's father in the UK. She discovered the parenting by connection approach when her daughter was a baby, and she became an instructor in 2013. Stephanie was blown away when she discovered the hand-in-hand parenting techniques. Although she adored being a mom right from the beginning, she knew about the importance of listening to babies' tears so they could heal, and she found it really hard to do in practice. The missing piece for her wasn't that she wasn't able to listen. When her baby was first born after a traumatic 3 days of labor, she had plenty of tears, and Stephanie felt she was being drowned in them and unable to listen like she wanted to. When Stephanie found herself a listening partner and took her first course with hand-in-hand parenting, it was a different matter. Finally, she was being heard about how hard and wonderful it was being a parent, and this made a huge difference in her ability to listen to her daughter's feelings. I am so lucky to be joined today by Stephanie Parker. Let me bring her in. Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. Hi, good to be here.
Thank you. So Stephanie is joining us from the UK. I am so excited that she's here to talk about a topic that is, of interest of everyone. We just went through a few Facebook Lives talking about boys and aggression. And one of the questions that kept coming up was about girls and their own aggression, since it's, coming from the same source, but a little bit different. And it's a topic that's close to my heart, being that I have a 23-year-old daughter and two bonus daughters who are 16 and 9. So this is something that's really exciting for me to get to talk to you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your daughter and how you came to Hand in Hand?
Great, okay. So my daughter is called Inez, and she's 9.5 now. And I homeschool her. So at the moment, she's planning on going to secondary school in 2 years. And I was really excited to become a mum when I was almost 36. And I kind of never even really thought about parenting or how it was going to go or what kind of parent I was going to be. I just didn't think about those things. I just knew I wanted to be a mum. And luckily, I found out about hand-in-hand parenting when she was about 4 or 5 months old. So I've been pretty much doing it since the beginning. However, I wish I had known about it before she was born, because then I could have got a listening partnership earlier, which would have been really useful in those early days of lots and lots of tears. So yeah, it's kind of
That's great. Well, I'm glad that you found us. I just want to let people who are watching know that it might look like I'm not listening to Stephanie, but I'm looking at the comments below and looking at the questions that you might have. So why don't we get started? I have a few questions here. And why don't we take one from the very start? Why don't we talk about what you started doing when you found that your daughter was being aggressive towards you? And what did that aggression look like?
Sure. Okay. So for the first 3 years of my daughter's life, she wasn't aggressive at all. There was no aggression. She was just this really sweet, there were lots of tears, tantrums, but no aggression. And I remember, like some of my friends had kids that were aggressive, like they'd take them to play groups and they bite the other kids, they pinch the other kids, or they'd hit them. And I just remember feeling so relieved that my daughter didn't do that. Yeah. However, when she went to kindergarten, when she was 3.5, so this was the first time she was really away from me. Although she was quite happy to go to kindergarten, it only took a couple of days, and she said, "Yeah, Mummy, you can go, I'll stay." She never complained about going. She always seemed pretty happy to go. However, about, I don't know, maybe 3-4 weeks after she started going, she started to pinch me and bite me frequently. Like, once or twice, daily. She would start to bite and pinch me. So it was quite a shock, really. It was like, what's happened to my daughter? This isn't my sweet little girl. What's happened? So I tried setting limits around her. I tried bringing a loving limit, and stopping her from biting me, but that didn't work. It just didn't work. It might work in the minute, but it didn't actually, it had no lasting effect. So what I needed to do was firstly get some listening time, because I was actually quite triggered by all this kind of violence towards me, aggression. I mean, I say violence, it's probably a heavy word, but what had happened in my childhood was that I had experienced violence. My dad had been quite, hit me quite a lot. Yeah, he used to drink basically, and hit me sometimes when he was drunk. So it was quite a lot that I was subjected to in those days. And also I was bullied as a child at school as well. So I'd have other children hitting me. So when my daughter started to hurt me, it would take me back to those times when I'd been hurt as a child, and it would bring up a lot of anger in me, especially if I was caught off guard, if I wasn't expecting it. I would feel really, really kind of enraged inside when she hurt me. So I did my listening partnership. That's what that's the first thing I did. I couldn't really deal with it with my daughter until I'd released and offloaded some of the stress, tension that it was causing me. So just talking about it and working through it in listening time really helped me kind of get prepared to go and help her with what was going on in her. So that was the first thing I did. And then, however, it still didn't change. She was still doing this on a daily basis. And often it would start right in the morning. As soon as I woke up, the first thing she'd do was, I think we were still co-sleeping then, actually. We were still co-sleeping until she was 4. Right in the morning, that would be the first thing she'd do, is wake up and pinch me. Not like a big cuddle, it'd be like, morning, mummy, pinch, So one evening when she was in bed, I was watching this video that Patty made, actually. And it was working with this boy and his aggression through physical kind of roughhousing, play listening. And what they were doing with this boy, it was really amazing to watch. Like, so they were kind of on the floor with him, like physically playing with him. And every time he would try and hurt the people that were doing this, there's 2 or 3 people doing this with him. Every time he would try and hurt, they would, like, first of all, they would get out of the way, kind of roll back and make sure they didn't get hurt. But then what they also do is come back with love and affection, so like kiss his leg or nuzzle his tummy. So every time, it's like, you've got to be a real ninja to do this. You've got to really get out of the way, being hurt, but then keep coming back with love and affection. I thought, well, this looks pretty amazing. So I'm going to try this tomorrow morning. So I had it all planned. So I think one thing for me is, like, if our children are showing this aggression, instead of thinking, oh, I really hope this isn't going to be like this, I hope they're not going to be aggressive tomorrow, be prepared for it, almost welcome it. Okay, we know they're going through this, it's a real message, they don't mean to hurt us. What we say hand in hand is, a child who's aggressive is because they're scared underneath, and their aggression is a sign saying, stop, I need help, I need some help here. So getting prepared for it is really important. So the next morning when my daughter woke up and went to pinch me, I was ready. I had my ninja outfit on and I was ready to go. So I kind of did this. I just took this on and we were kind of rolled around the bed, and she was trying to pinch me and I was getting out the way and not letting her pinch me, but nuzzling her and coming back with lots of love. And so what I noticed, what happened was that she began to feel her feelings. She began to get more angry, actually. What I saw actually was this biting and pinching was actually stopping her from feeling this anger as well. It was just like, so as soon as I stopped her, actually got out of the way and didn't let that biting or pinching happen, she started to feel more angry and get angry. Anyway, we did this for, kept on doing this for about 15-20 minutes, and then I think she wanted her breakfast, so we went down and had our breakfast. And then later on we went to this mother and child yoga class, and halfway through the class all the children had to choose a mat, and she wanted a blue mat, but all the blue mats were gone. And she started to have this huge meltdown about the color of the mat. Now, my daughter would just not get upset about something like that. She'd never, normally she would just have whatever mat there was, So I knew this was like broken cookie.
Yeah.
But actually it was just a pretext for her to get her feelings out. So I just kind of took her to one side of the class and I just listened to her when she had this big cry. And it was so beautiful to see this vulnerability, because I really got that was what was underneath this kind of aggression that was going on. It's like as soon as I started to work with it, then she could, and add that safety and connection through the play listening and the nuzzling and all of that. It helped her feel her more painful feelings underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So so it's really beautiful. So I just stayed and I listened to her cry, and then she cried for, I don't know, not that long, about 5 minutes, and then we got back on with the class and everything was fine. And that really helped for a while. But not long term. So there's something else. Should I share what else I did later on?
Yeah.
So so even though these things all help kind of, in the short term, in the long term, there was still fear there for her because she was still continuing to bite and pinch.
Mm-hmm.
So one day, and also I should say that I was giving her special time every day as well. Special time's a really important tool. If something like this is going on, because this is like an emotional project, it's something that wasn't going to change over a day. It was going to take a while to shift it. So I was giving her daily special time to really put that connection in, fill her cup up, make her feel that life was good in that time. So then we got to a place where she was still doing it. So one day I just thought, okay, so when she went into pinching me, I sat her on the sofa in the lounge, and I got my partner Jim to come and sit with us. And I said, oh, we're just going to stay here for a while on the sofa. And that was just my kind of gut intuition. This is what we need to do now. We've done all the playing, not all the playing, we've done lots of playing.
Right.
We've done lots of work here, lots of connection. And now it's time. Like, I just had this intuition. This is what we need to do. We need to sit with her and help her through these difficult feelings. So we sat on the sofa with it's messy. It's really really messy when children work through fear. She wanted to get away, and then she would find all these reasons why she wanted to get away. I need to go to the toilet, I need a drink of water, I need this, I need all these things, because fear is not comfortable to be with. And we want to, when any of us feel fear, we want to run away from it. But we helped her. We sat, I don't know, it wasn't that long, maybe about 20 minutes. And we said, we're just going to sit here for now. We gave her as much space, and we didn't kind of hold her, restrain her. We gave her as much space on the sofa as we could without her actually getting off the sofa. So we wanted to give enough safety to really help her feel these feelings. But we didn't want to hold her really tight and make her, give her more, make her feel restrained. So she worked through this fear. She sweated. She wasn't really crying. She was just really kind of sweating and trying to get away, and really, all this kind of fear coming through her. And that was it. So then after 20 minutes, I can't really remember what happened, but maybe we just decided it was enough. And I think we did this once more as well. I think we've had two kind of times when we did this with her. And then that was it. It was amazing. The biting stopped, the pinching stopped, but not just that. It was like it was really like the sunshine came out again. It really felt like that. It was like, oh my God, this is my daughter. I had almost forgotten what she was like when she was happy and carefree, and it was like I got my daughter back. She's here again. This is her. Look, she's happy. She's So it wasn't just the absence of the pinching and the biting. It was like her happiness. And her sunny nature came back.
That's so sweet. What a great story. Thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate it. I have some questions to ask you from down below. Let's see if we can take a couple of them. So I have a question here from a dad, and he says, how can a daddy make sense and soothe his daughter's strong feelings and aggression?
Yeah. How can he soothe her feelings, strong feelings,
and aggression? In the moment.
Yeah. I think it's really just to, I was reading something in the book earlier and saying, like anger, when children are angry, it's the hardest it's the hardest for parents. It's not, you know, when they cry, we can hold them in our arms. When they're scared, we can cuddle them and make them feel safe. And anger is a really hard one. And in the book, I think it's in the book or the leaflet, Patty said it's like the barbed wire fence, you know, anger. It can be really hard to get to. But, you know, children really need us. They really need us when they're feeling angry. They might push us away. They might tell us to go. They might run away from us. All of those things. But, you know, that's their guards up. Actually, underneath that, they really need us close by. So I would say, you know, stay as close as you can. You know, you don't have to be right in their space. You don't have to be right up close to them if they're pushing you away. But really hang out there and be with them and listen to them. Give them that space and know that actually, you know, as long, obviously, if they're hurting somebody or they're hurting themselves or they're destroying anything, then you have to come in and bring a limit. But if they're just experiencing that anger, then it's really just about being there with them and listening to them. I think that's such a great gift. I think, especially for girls, like when I was growing up, there was no way anyone would listen to my anger. There was no room for my anger. I was not allowed to be angry. So for just someone to have come in and listened to me and just said, it's okay, you know, it's okay. Right. Anger's okay. It's all right to be angry as long as we don't hurt anyone or harm anyone. You know, just giving that message that I'm here with you and we're going to do this. I'm your rock. I'm going to, you know, I'm your rock and we're going to be here and it's going to be okay. And yeah.
That's really beautiful. I like that analogy that I'm your rock and I'm going to be here for you. I really do like that. I have another question from someone here down below. It says, my daughter has become very controlling of her little sister since she started school. She demands to decide what they plan or play. She screams at her when she's playing wrong, and she's bossy and mean, and this is all new. They used to get along so well, and I don't know what to do now.
Okay. So my daughter's become very controlling of her sisters and stuff. Okay. Okay, so what's going on there probably is that the daughter is having become very controlled about it. His daughter's probably having a bit of a hard time at school, right? You know, this is all new. You know, it's tough starting school. You know, you come from the home environment where things are very different, and then you go to school and you have to follow all these rules. I mean, I don't know what country you're in, but I know in this country, children start school really early. They start at 4, you know, and they have to go in all day. And you know, that's a lot. There's a lot of structure. There's a lot of rules at a very young age, and this can be really hard. So it sounds like your daughter is coming back and needing to offload some of this, and unfortunately, she's doing it on her little sister, which doesn't work, obviously. So I would say, you know, you need to get in there. I don't know if you're giving your daughter special time, but definitely special time's a must, you know, so, you know, that can give your daughter a chance to play that out. You know, she might want to be the teacher. She might want to tell you off. You know, basically she needs to do all this, but not with her little sister. She needs to be doing it with you. So yeah, so you need to get there, do some special time, and then also some play listening, you know, and you can even ask, you know, Larry Cohen of Playful Parenting. I love what he says, because he says, you know, bring it into the play zone. We can actually ask our kids, right, you know, have school, let's play it out. You know, do you want to be the teacher? Shall I be you? You know, and kids are so creative. They're so creative and inventive with how they want to do it. You know, they've got so many ideas. So yeah, so that even just, you know, ask them and they'll probably have a few ideas. Yeah.
I love that. Bring it into the play zone. I love that. So I have a question here that we actually had asked during the time that we were doing Boys and Aggression. So I want to ask it here since we're talking about girls. So this woman, Tamara Dow, has a 5-year-old daughter, and she's refusing circle time and being unkind to her friends, accusing her friends of staring and actually shouting and screaming back at any child that's around her. So this mom, Tamara, was told by another parent that her daughter was causing, that Tamara's daughter was causing her own daughter anxiety And so she's
wow.
trying to figure out what she can do to help her daughter through, refusing circle time and being unkind to friends.
Yeah. Okay. Well, firstly, I'm sorry that she heard that about her daughter. That's not, that's a hard thing to hear, and it sounds a bit blamey, really. There might be stuff going on for the other child, but ultimately it's up for the teachers to keep the children safe. So you can't really blame the kids for other children's anxiety. So it sounds like there's some kind of fear around for her around this, this circle time, sitting down could be bringing up some old feelings of fear for her. So what I would do is I don't know how old your daughter is, but
5.
a good thing. Oh, 5. Okay, you always said that. But kind of trying to offload some of this fear before they go into circle time. So again, like I said in the last question, you could bring it into the play zone. You could have, if it was my daughter, she used to love her kind of cuddly toys and dolls. So we probably get them all sitting around in, playing out circle time. And then some of the dolls or teddies could be naughty, just kind of like fall over or mess around. And your daughter could be the teacher and tell them off. That could really get some good laughter going. Children just love, it's like children don't like being stuck with this behavior. They just they don't want it, they don't like it, but it's lodged in there somehow. And so playlisting is a fantastic way for them to see other beings, whether it's their toys or you or whatever, playing out these kind of these fears and these anxieties and these difficulties that they have. I'd also suggest maybe like a kind of some rough play before school as well, before they go into circle time. I don't know if circle time's at the beginning of the day, but really either some special time or some kind of some horse play, rough and tumble play. When my daughter was 5, we used to do lots of kind of like, just lots of horsey rides, or lying on your back with them up on there, anything that gets their body moving and releases tension, and gets them laughing. This could really help them feel more centered then when they get to circle time.
One of the things that is an ongoing theme that you're talking about is, a lot of roughhousing and playing. Yeah. And when we think about girls, and this is probably my own, I'm bringing my own thoughts into this, but we don't really think of them as ones that, are roughhousing a lot. We think of them, playing with their dolls and sitting down, but it's really important that we do that horsey play and that rough and tumble time with girls. Is there anything that you see in the difference in the way that, and maybe you might be able to answer this, the way that boys kind of rough and tumble play, and then what happens like after that play listening in comparison to girls, and how that's addressed, or do they all kind of come out the same way?
Well, that's a great question, actually, because for me, when my daughter was little, it was really hard to get her to roughhouse. So I knew about roughhousing, but we almost had to force her to do it. And then when I used to go and stay with my friends who had boys, they were like, really? They were just so rough and tumble. And I was like, oh, this is fun, I like this. So around even up to the age of 5, we really had to kind of almost set a limit and say, right, we're going to do some rough, But now my daughter's 9.5, and she asked me to roughhouse and wrestle with her at least once a day.
Oh, wow.
At least once a day, I mean, I homeschool, and she's studying for an exam that she wants to sit next year to go to a certain school in 2 years. So it's quite hard work. So, when she's had enough, she says, Mummy, we've got to go and wrestle. Let's go and wrestle. Let's go and wrestle. So, girls need it as much as boys, but I think they're just not as encouraged as much. I think boys are just encouraged to, roughhouse. Yeah. So, and I think also that's why often that girls have harder dynamics than boys as well. That's a lot of people say that girls have much harder times with their girlfriends than boys do because they're more physical. So it's like, So whenever my daughter gets stuck with her friendships, I try and get in and we do something physical, and it really helps. Yeah.
That's actually a really interesting point, because we often hear that with boys, it's, they play, and then there's a little rough and tumble, and then they're fine. And then with girls, it's this, whole other type of aspect where if a girl's having a hard time with one of the little girls having a hard time with one of their girlfriends, it's this long-term type of thing that sometimes drags on.
Yeah.
To kind of be physical. Thank you. That's actually really helpful.
Yeah.
So maybe this is another question. We have probably about 10 more minutes, but I have another question in regards to, and you kind of addressed it a little bit in regards to your daughter, but what does that female aggression mean? So I know for you, your daughter was pinching and biting, and I think, for me, what I've seen is with my daughters, it's more yelling. It's an aggressive yelling that they get at a certain point, or it's an aggressive questioning. They go from that sweet girl to all of a sudden the questions are a lot more directed and aggressive. What does that mean? Is that, all drawing from the same place?
That's a good question. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think the yelling and the verbal stuff, it still comes from not feeling good inside, feeling kind of scared, scared. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that reminds me, I wanted to share a little story about how I dealt with verbal aggression as well.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Yeah. So, just to say, I also want to say something else is that, all the stuff that I worked on earlier, I told you about earlier with my daughter, I think that came from her birth. So I think you shared earlier when you introduced me that my daughter had a really difficult time coming into the world. It was 3 days. It was 4-step delivery in the end. It was really, really tough. And she cried for many hours when she was born. I think that separation at kindergarten, I think it brought up those old feelings that were left from her birth. Right. Because there'd been nothing else from, you might think, well, why? Why was it so hard for her to go to kindergarten? And there was nothing else that was difficult in her life, really, in those first 3 years, apart from her birth.
Right.
And we never know, but that was my gut instinct that that's what it was from. Right. So and also that thing when she was working on her fear and she wanted to get aware, it was very difficult for her coming down the birth canal. So it was
right.
So then anyway, so roll on a couple of years now. My daughter's 5. And in between being 3 and 5, my partner did a PhD, which is, as you probably know, it's can be very, very stressful. And he was very, very stressed. And he got quite ill doing it as well, mentally, emotionally. He wasn't that well. So his connection with Inez was quite difficult during that time. Kind of there was a breakdown in their connection. So when she was 5, and we moved house as well, so there's quite a lot going on. He'd been ill, he'd done a PhD, we'd moved house. She started to become quite disconnected to him, and she would do 2 things. First, she would hit him, and the second one, she would call him names. Now, she was only 5, so it was only like stupid daddy. It wasn't too bad at the age of 5. But for him, he found it really hard. He was still kind of recovering, and he found it really hard to deal with. So I actually got some advice about Patty. What shall I do? Because I felt I've got to do something. He can't deal with it, and I was just living in this like war zone, with them disconnected and out at her. So Patty suggested I bring in some play listening. So when she says stupid daddy, fat daddy, or whatever she said, I'd say, no, that's not how we talk to daddy. We say, lovely daddy, generous daddy, great daddy. And, I'd say it in this voice where my daughter would know it was kind of play, there was a play. And she'd go, I said, that's how we talk to daddy, isn't it? And she'd go, yeah, okay. I said, well, you try then. And then, of course, she'd go, stupid daddy, and I'm like, no, and I do that a few times. So that's how I basically dealt with that. And then when she hit him as well, I would say, no, that's not how we touch daddy. I get in there and I get her hand and I go, this is how we touch daddy, lovely daddy, stroke his arm. And she'd go, all right then. And then as soon as I let go, she'd go to hit him again, And anyway, we just did that a few times and it shifted everything. Wow. It was amazing. didn't do very much of it at all, but it dissolved the tension. They were connected again. Yeah, magic.
That's amazing. One of the things as girls get older, and maybe you can address this as our last question, is you were talking a little bit about that verbal abuse or aggression verbal aggression that occurs. It's a less physical, more verbal aggression. And you gave a great example with your partner and being able to kind of curb that. What would you do when it's, coming directly towards you? I know, listening time or listening partnerships is a huge part of being able to maneuver and manage through that difficult time, because we're the adults and we want to be able to give our focus to our little ones. But is there any advice or any kind of techniques that you might be able to give? You talk about giving special time on a daily basis. I think that this verbal aggression probably comes out most, or the big part of it is during that stay listening. So do you have any suggestions or any final words to help parents go through this really difficult time with their little ones?
Yeah. I think it's not personal. It's definitely not personal. I think we need to hear that, because I think it can feel very personal. And actually, in a way, it's a compliment. It's because they feel safe with us, that they're showing us they don't feel good, and it's really important. But I think, a lot of it is connection. Children just need so much connection. I notice it in my family. Connection goes out every day. It definitely goes out every day, and then I put it back in. I homeschool my daughter, so I see it much more as well. Connection's always going in and out and in. But yeah, I think the more we can, give the special time, the more special time I give my daughter, the more affection I see, the more connection, the less of this happening. So lots of connection and as you say, lots of listening time for us. As I said, be prepared for it as well. That's really important. If it is going on, if there is, if it's going on over time, then it's to get ready for it. If we don't have a listening partnership and we are triggered, then go up, lock yourself in the bathroom, scream in the mirror. Take a little bit of time out for you. It's not easy. It's not easy to hear our kids attack us, be angry at us. I still get triggered when my daughter's angry at times. So yeah, just take 5 minutes for you. Just tell your child, I just need to go off and let off my own steam. Yeah, time out for parents is a really good thing, I think. And it's amazing. Sometimes I journal. Sometimes I just come up to my room and just write in my book lots of angry words, and after a few minutes I feel prepared to go down again and face. Yeah, that's
really helpful. No, it's fantastic. And one of the reasons why Stephanie's on today is because she has a starter class that's coming up that'll show you the root of your child's frustrating behaviors and give you the right tools to get back on course. So everything we mentioned here, the stay listening, the special time, the listening partnerships is really key. You get time with that. And that class is starting on October 27th. 2018, and it's 6 Saturdays, and it's 9:30 a.m. EMT time, and there's no calls on November 10th or December 1st. And Stephanie, out of the goodness of her heart, has given this back to us as a fundraiser. Hand in Hand is a nonprofit, and we are in our last quarter of fundraising, and we are looking to raise $150,000 still in order to keep going here. So Stephanie, your contribution to Hand in Hand is much appreciated, both from the fundraising side and as a certified instructor here. We can't thank you enough, and thank you enough for your time. So we will, down below, link to Stephanie's class. And if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to comment below. But Stephanie, again, thank you for all your time. We appreciate it. And her class, again, starts on Saturday, October 27th. 2018, and that's 9:30 a.m. GMT time, which for all of you here on the West Coast in California is 2:30 a.m., but absolutely and totally worth it if you can. So thank you again, Stephanie. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Bye.